Goodrow, project manager. So I guess, yeah, they're requesting to continue to next month.
That'll be what, May what? June.
That would be June 2nd.
June 2nd.
So, I mean, they had 30, I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of turn.
No, go ahead.
But
Yeah.
they've had 30 days to come back to us, and they haven't.
I guess is there a reason for the continuance?
Yeah, that's
Amy,
what
or
I
no,
wanna
that they just,
All that they provided was the letter. That is it.
and that's from exactly today they
Yes.
sent it. Okay. I guess
Mr. Chairman,
That would be the applicant.
that's the
Yes,
applicant.
representative.
Well, I guess just before I open it to the applicant, I feel like the thing that we were waiting on was the calculations, right? About the mathematical.
We were waiting on a few things.
There were a few.
There was a real question of hardship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a self-induced hardship there. It's not a,
Right. Let's go. So we're just discussing for 350 Rentham Street. They sent out a request for continuance to next month for June 2nd.
okay.
They haven't provided an explanation, but the applicant is here, but we're just having some internal discussion about it.
Okay, thank you. It just came in like an hour or two ago.
Do we want to just ask the applicant?
If you don't mind.
Okay. Just your name and then just let us know your reason for the continuance.
sure, Rick Goodrow with United Consultants. Thank you, Mr. Dalby, the property owner, had his attorney contact me today, and he's asked that we request a continuance so that he has an opportunity to go through the documents of record that have been filed and will be filed, to complete a review and have opportunity to be prepared to meet with the board at the June meeting. So I apologize for the short notice, but this came about today. That I was notified that he had engaged his attorney. So they've asked me to request this continuance from the board this evening. I again realized the short notice, but that was the reason for this.
Okay, so the reason is really about getting his own attorney involved. And
Correct.
okay.
How much, yeah, what you been doing for the last 30 days?
We need to just.
Yeah, it's just within the board right now.
We'd like to see some plans of what the land.
We'll open it up in just a little bit. For now, we're just discussing amongst the
We really
board.
can't if he's asking to continue.
Yeah, we have
Just- we
to.
can't-
Okay, we can't open it to
If
the
he's asked to
public.
continue, that's
Okay.
what we have to,
So
We have to
take-
information will be available at
The next meeting.
It would be at the next. Okay.
Mhm.
So,
That's what they've requested. That's what we have to honor.
so I'll
Okay.
make a motion to grant a continuance until June 2nd.
Second.
Okay,
Can we-
Discussion? We can-
Yeah, can we throw away a 1 month continuance only? They've already had 30 days,
I
so.
think we can make that decision at the next meeting.
so June 2nd is the next meeting at 7 o'clock.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. We'll see you June 2nd then. Okay.
Thank you,
then
Mr.
next-
Chairman and board members.
Right.
I'm sorry,
We
probably ought to
apologize,
give a little
it's not- we
explanation
just
to
got it
those that
also.
are here.
That's-
Okay.
we
I know
apologize.
that. Yeah, no reason. But these people, this is what
We
they
can't even
do.
discuss it. That's just, we
Here,
apologize.
I'm
That's-
gonna, if Art, if you want to explain it to the public.
So what happens is with the continuance, they have so many days in order to continue, and they do have they're in with that time frame where they can continue. And so we granted the continuance so that they can prepare for the next meeting.
Well, they better.
And I know it's an inconvenience to everybody here, but it's within their right to continue it.
And then, do they get to do it again?
No,
and
that's what we
again,
just
and
discussed. No, that's up to the board at the next meeting. If we decide not to continue, then that's it.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming out, and I know that, obviously we want to give them, it's a lot to come each time for each of these meetings, and we're not gonna let them just keep pushing it
It's just
out.
that they get their own attorneys and stuff.
That's,
Oh,
we
they have
really
plenty
can't
of
go
time.
into,
We
we
can't
can't.
discuss
it
We
legally.
need to
I know.
keep,
We can't.
yeah, we need
Yeah.
to keep moving. I apologize, but we really
That's okay.
can't take any testimony. Okay.
All right.
And we can leave now?
Yes, we're moving on to the next item.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
June
We'll
2nd.
get back.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think it's time to go for dinner.
Yep, the next item on the agenda is, oh, and if you could take it outside, just because we still have a meeting in progress. Yeah, if you guys could just take it outside, it'd much appreciated.
Okay, the second item that we have is 10 Pearl Street, and the applicant for 10 Pearl Street has asked to withdraw their application without prejudice. Okay,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay,
okay, and the next item, Mr. Chair, is we have Lakeview Estates. They've asked for continuation to June 2nd as well.
okay. That would be Peter.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did say that. Reason for continuance, I
We had said, I had said that we had a rather full agenda, and
Okay.
that was the reasoning, to be honest, and they said that that would be fine.
So,
second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. June 2nd.
Okay, the next item is 109 Patricia Drive. That's an extension of the special permit. We had granted that last year, and we asked them to come back within a year. We did reach out to the animal control officer, Board of Health, and the building department, and there have been no complaints in regards to that application, and so they were looking for an extension of the special permit.
Is this the one with the group of dogs?
Yes, there were 6 dogs.
6 dogs, there was a
Yes.
bunch of them. And
Yes,
he was moving back home to
oh,
help
that's
his
right.
mom out.
right.
or-
There was
Yes.
the fence and the.
Yeah.
The pool.
they're actually online if you have any questions for them.
Yeah, sure. I guess if we could just hear quickly from the applicant at Patricia Drive. Are you there?
Good evening, members of the board. How is everybody doing today?
Good. So yeah, we understand then there haven't been any complaints. I guess if you want to give us just a quick summary of how it's gone the last year.
Yeah, definitely. With last year meeting, one of the things that was supposed to be done was fix the fence. Everything in there has finally been completed. There was a couple of links missing that we didn't get to do last year, so that's all done. There was no complaints from our neighbors. We made sure that everybody, or at least every dog, was managed so they wouldn't disrupt anybody in the neighborhood. We try to keep the noise down. We always kept their health in priority, making sure they're getting walked, fed, the attention that they need as well. We're just asking for another year for the same reason. We're still, I know last year we said we're looking to move out of the house to split the dogs as well. We're still in that same plan, as last year was a little bit rougher than we expected to be.
Is there still 6, is there still the same amount of dogs?
Correct. No change, unfortunately. We did look into see if anybody could adopt or take him. With that, there were some changes made where one of them did go away for about a month, but ended up coming back just because they were separated from their pack. They were getting sick from that same thing, and the person that we ended up giving to them decided to return them, not to have the dog be in such a condition.
So I think I recall that, yeah, we stipulated that it would just be obviously not adding any more animals.
And as they're gone, then not to replace them as well.
Yes, and it is, I was just looking up, but yeah, I do recall it is a tight neighborhood. So if there were any issues, that's very close, all the houses.
Right, we would know about it by now.
And I really appreciate them coming to us to do this, because not every applicant does. They were right on it, and I think that shows
That's
that they
good.
really took the decision seriously.
That's great. I guess I don't see any reason not to.
Yeah. A motion to grant the extension.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
So, can I just,
Oh,
for
yeah, go
for
ahead.
clarification, and maybe, Jim, this is a question for you. How long do these licenses last for?
Well, so this one is unique one. The condition actually is an annual review. So there's really no action necessary. You're welcome to grant the extension for the year, but it's an annual review until such time as it reaches the limit of 4 dogs.
So I don't think we need to do anything, but just to have them back next year. And
Okay, that's good.
Sounds
my only question is the applicant, are the dogs in good health? Have you had any
Well, yeah,
hardships
it's extension.
throughout the time? The past
No
year?
hardships at all. Everybody's still doing on good health.
That's great.
And then I guess one last question is, are there any other animals? Because I think it's stipulate, or that's not part of the,
I don't know. That's a Jim question.
No other animals were added. It's still the same 6 huskies, and it's not gonna get added to anything else.
okay, so no other animals, just the 6.
Correct, the 6 dogs. Yep.
And the decision was strictly for the dogs.
Okay,
Very good.
all right, so everyone, I guess we had the second, right?
You guys move the question.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Or I guess, do we even technically need to vote on it? I guess we don't do it.
No.
We did. Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for
See you
coming.
next year.
See you next year.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate
For your
it.
time.
That is funny.
Have a great rest of your night.
Yeah.
Too.
Good. 30 Locusts is our next hearing. We want to open that and start discussion on that.
Motion to open 30 Locust Street.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Right, what you have in your packet is what you were seeking last meeting was a breakdown of some of the questions you had in regards to materials and the routes and the times. And so the applicant has put that together for you to look at this evening.
Yeah, that was a heck of a shot you sent over, by the
And there
way.
was a chart, there's,
I could follow it. too.
that's the applicant, so if you guys want to come up, that would be great. We should have this in our packet. A motion to open the hearing?
I
Did
think
that,
we
did
did.
I miss we did that?
Yeah, we already did. I opened.
Okay, so we're good.
9
Okay,
seconds.
great.
Welcome back. Thank you.
So as Amy just mentioned, I'm Jim Almonte from Land Design Collaborative in Westboro, Steve Benacasa from Elite Home Builders. So as Amy did mention, there were some questions that came in front of the board, or the board had at the last hearing. Titan Contractors had prepared an outline, which I believe is in your packet, that discussed some of the questions regarding the truck routes, the scheduling and the duration. I mean, I can call that up if that makes sense, if that's helpful. Just make sure it's the right line.
It is.
Yeah,
There
it's huge. Yeah.
Eyes aren't what they used to be.
you go. No.
I was gonna say, that might help.
It's not seeing my flash drive, so.
I don't know. See if that does anything.
Maybe we don't need to. say.
Yeah, I guess.
Talk about it. We all have it
We all have
anyway.
it, so.
It's all right.
So we just go right down the list. So we're hoping to start the export in July and you know, as soon as possible. And the reason for that is we want to avoid the school bus traffic as much as possible and get as much of the material off the site during the summer when school is not in session. So that is our goal to start in July of this year. Most of the material, if not all of it, will probably end up going to the Westboro area. And obviously it hasn't been 100% determined yet, but that's the thought at this point. As far as traffic controls, we'll have reflective barrels at the entrance to the site. And we're hoping to have 12 triaxle dump trucks, the 20-yard dump trucks, 20 cubic yard dump trucks available to do the export. Hours, which I think we talked about last time, were 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. there was discussion as to whether or not there would be Saturday hauling as well, but right now we're just focusing on Monday through Friday with no Saturdays. Staging on site will start at 7 a.m., which is in line with the other permits that were issued. We won't start removing material from the site until 8 o'clock in the morning, and then hope to be done by 4:30 at night. As far as the truck routes are concerned, we basically have two choices or two ways to go. We can either exit the site to the north to go down Locust Street, and then to Pulaski Boulevard, to Washington Street, King Street out to 495 North, or we could exit the site, turn right, head south, and go through Rentham. The property's right on the town line, so I think we'll be on Locust Street about a couple hundred feet before we enter into Rentham, and then you would go out to West Street, to Green Street, out to 495 that way. We did Titan did conduct some time trials to try to figure out how long it would take to get from the site to the ultimate destination of where the material will be brought. And as you can see, the times there were, let's see. So if we went to the Luke Street route, which would be to the south through Rentham, it was about 42 minutes. And if we went to the north, out through Pulaski Boulevard, it was about 43 minutes. So they were very similar. It was a little longer on the return if we did the Luke Street through Rentham route. So that was 42 minutes versus 37 minutes if we went with the Pulaski Boulevard to Locust Street route. So as far as the ultimate duration, we're hoping to do with the 12 trucks, 4 loads per day per truck. So that's basically 80 cubic yards per truck per day. So that works out to be about 960 cubic yards total. And if we're able to work 5 days a week straight, using those numbers, it would be about 130 days. I mean, granted, we know that it may not work out to be that every day. We may not be able to hit that quota every day. But if we did, we basically have those numbers to work with, it would be 130 days total.
So about 4 months, a little
Yeah,
over
about
4.
Yeah. So that's why it's crucial for us to get started as soon as possible, so we can avoid do a lot of that hauling out during the summer months when school is not in session. So I don't know if Titan wants to add anything to that, or if the board has any questions.
Few questions here, if I may.
Yeah.
The first question is that you said it'd be each truck would have 4 trips per day. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And judging by the time, that leaves a little leeway time as well, so that
Right.
we're not too tight on time.
Right.
I would venture to say.
Okay.
The one other question that I would have, there's 2 questions actually. The first one is I think the 8 to 4:30 is good during the summer, but when school back in session, I think the 4:30 is going to be a little late because it's going to be interfering with the school buses. Right. So we might want to change that for the during school.
Wouldn't that be the opposite? The 8 o'clock would interfere with school buses?
Well, I think, yes. Well, the 8 o'clock, the school buses are pretty much done. So, well, no, that's certainly.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I'm not.
And I'm not positive, but I think some of the elementary and kindergarten.
That's what I was wondering.
Pick up
too.
as late as 8:15, 8:20.
So what are
That's
you
a good point.
suggesting?
Yeah.
Let me add something to the route there. When we put that together, we were also thinking that depending on the buses and the trucking, we would, if school is in session and there are buses, we would tend to go with the flow of the bus traffic, so that we weren't oncoming to the bus. Meaning to say, if they were coming towards 30 Locust Street from, say, Pulaski, we would want to go the other way, the Rentham route, and vice versa. But I don't believe that the school buses from Rentham will come into.
So you're saying that your route is not going to interfere with the bus route? Is that what you're trying to say?
We won't be oncoming to a bus. We'll be with the bus.
Traveling in the same direction as the bus. That's why having that second option for a route it gives us the flexibility to adapt.
Our thoughts are, and Steve Anacaso, our thoughts are that if we started hauling and we saw a conflict, that we could adjust and we could go right and go south, or go left and go north, and work with the school buses and with the department. If it goes into the September, well, when it does go into September period. So we have the flexibility to change the route, and we're willing to go the other route, even though it adds more to our cost because it adds more time. But we think it's a small concession to make, and we're willing to do that.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I honestly think I'm trying to visualize some of these roads in my mind. I go through there quite a bit. I think coming out onto Pulaski, not that it's not residential, but
That's what I was
maybe
curious.
less residential than coming in through the Green Street and West Street and Rentham. That's really residential into there, if my memory is serving me right. I know we're sending them back up this way, but just my thought as far as school buses are concerned. I mean, yeah, you gotta have the school bus on Pulaski, that's just that one road for short period.
Yeah, that's true.
We're willing to adjust our routes if one turned out to be better than the other. I guess we've spoken to the previous owner, and he suggested that when they hauled out 20 years ago, I'm not sure what the exact date, but they did haul out a lot of material back then, that they used that road going down West Street. Because they hauled a lot of material to Framingham at the time, which is actually even further than we're going.
I mean, Mr. Chairman, the only question is, should there be an issue of going, either south or north, would you be willing to kind of delay, just like half an hour in the morning, just to allow that traffic to go through? And then, should there be an issue, if you try south, it doesn't work, and then you try north, it's not ideal, would you be willing at that point to?
We obviously
Right.
want to work with the neighbors, we want to work with the town. to make
I would
it work.
imagine if there were any complaints, you'd be willing to work.
I think we're willing to revisit anything we make tonight. If we find out it doesn't work or works better another way, we're open to revisiting that.
I guess that was the question, the thought I was wondering too, is that could we condition it that if there's X number of complaints that
Yes.
they could come before the board
Just put a
again?
condition on the
Yeah.
motion, yeah.
I also don't see anything in here on any type of dust control as trucks are leaving.
Okay.
Can you address that, please?
Yes.
Because you've laid this out very nicely, but nothing for the dust control.
We have the water apparatus for the actual work on the site.
Mhm.
The water truck will be there as we're stripping and generating material. It'll be there through the whole job. And to fill it, we're going to use the well system that's already at the golf course. And that will be available there so that once they enter, if they come off of the open area onto the pavement, if need be, we'll have the sweeper there and the water truck at all times. And as soon as we start the job, apart from this trucking operation, we'll have that water apparatus and that sweeper there. Just for general construction traffic, we typically sweep the road every afternoon to make sure there's no dust.
So you're talking about a road on your project, not on Lucas Street, right?
Locust.
Locust.
Locust, no, yes, but that is right at the front, so we can easily drive up on the road with the sweeper or the water truck and wet the road. I don't anticipate any dust or any tracking out onto the road, but if it does occur, just due to the nature of the material, it's all very pervious material.
And there'll be a construction entrance at the entrance too, to kind of clean the tires of the trucks before they leave.
That's what I'm waiting to hear.
Yeah.
Well, we have the benefit of a large paved surface, the parking lot itself, which they would leave that in place, Dave.
Absolutely,
So
so that's possible.
Yeah, so we have a parking like this, where we've got a good length of roadway there before we do enter into the public road.
Okay.
We have 175 feet of asphalt that we're going to drive from once we come off the grass of the golf course onto that paved parking lot. That's 175 foot that's paved. And there's no reason to remove that until we actually laid in the job with the water tie-in in Locust.
And the trucks will be covered or screened with, as they're leaving with the load.
No, they'll always have the tarpaulin on, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry to jump. So in previous go-rounds with similar permits, Jim has a pretty tight decision that he usually incorporates all of these standard kind of sweeping and watering and covering and all that stuff. So I don't know, if Jim, you want to talk to the usual stuff that we include so we don't.
Yeah, no, I think you've already hit on a number of them. I mean, the route, I think you guys have nailed down pretty well, and it certainly can talk to the applicant, but it sounds like the board is leaning towards going through Rentham Road. The erosion control plan that you have, that the planning board has already established, but we can cite in this decision, which includes track pads and the like for dust controls. Watering on-site, a watering tank on-site to make sure. I know the contractor is saying that won't be a problem, but as we always see in the dead of summer, there is always certainly some concerns. Annual or daily sweeping, excuse me, of the public way near their site, and as you guys have indicated, some strict controls on times and days, and sounds like it's Monday through Friday. I believe, and I don't think we've nailed down the hours just yet, but we're getting pretty close. And that's pretty much it. The only other thing that I would raise is obviously there's a number of vehicles going through. The schedule indicates it. The bylaw obviously indicates a surety bond or a performance bond established for the public way in the town. And I did, since you guys have brought that up at the last meeting, I did speak with the DPW director, and he indicated that Locust Street would be approximately $125,000 for bonding.
So we would include that in the, whatever the motion is that what you're saying, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would think we'd have to. The other thing, and I want to make sure it's in, if we approve this, is absolutely no Saturdays or Sundays. I mean, I think it would just be horrendous to be a neighbor and having 4 times however many trucks.
48 trips.
48 trucks every
day.
Saturday where you try to enjoy your day off.
Yeah.
On God forbid Sunday. How about holidays?
So we don't work holidays.
People should, they should enjoy them.
Well, we don't enjoy it, but we.
And we have hard enough time getting people to work Monday through Friday, never mind Saturdays or weekends, believe me, nobody wants them.
So I guess we need to go back to the hours of the business. So if I were to suggest, I assume that the 8 o'clock is a little too early, if you think it's so.
I'm a little concerned that once we get into September with school buses.
So would you want to do it up until
So these
September?
hours, I'm sorry.
Oh, go
These
ahead.
hours,
Yeah.
these hours would be good for the summertime until school opens. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to cut their legs off too, because I know these guys are up and going to 5 a.m. and can't wait for the 8 o'clock hour to go to work. I mean, seriously.
It's true.
I know that.
Those guys aren't early risers, not me.
And, so, but I mean, if we go 8:30 to 5 o'clock, I mean.
If I could make a suggestion, if we could work with the school department or if your transportation department to work out a schedule with them, if you direct us to work with them and then we set the schedule that works for them. That might be a good possible way of going. And
What do you think about that, Jim?
What we could certainly do is prior to the start of earth removal, we could set up a pre-construction meeting again. I know we've already done one for the site itself, but pre-construction with the earth removal team and the school department, and establish some hours that would work for both parties.
Okay.
That would be beginning in the fall, though. Would you say we'd be okay with the summer, whatever, with the hours that are there or not?
Well, yeah, I would say just try to limit, impacting peak hour traffic with, that area is certainly a high commuter location.
Yeah,
I mean, out of curiosity, and I know what a triaxle, how big a triaxle is. How long would it take you to load a triaxle?
5 minutes.
So you anticipate having all of them on site right at 7 AM staged?
Yeah, they come on site that's beginning at 7. We don't make any noise until 7.
Yeah.
And then they start to show up at 7, 7:10, 7.
You start loading them at 8 o'clock.
We start loading them at 7:05, 7:10, but they don't leave the site until 8 o'clock.
Okay. So you actually, by theory, could have damn near 12 trucks ready to go at 8 o'clock going down the road.
Yes, but we're gonna time the release of them. We're not gonna let them all go down the road in the conga line, because that doesn't work
Yeah.
for us, because for whatever reason, they all stop for coffee at the same time. The train comes off the tracks.
There's nothing down there to stop the coffee, so.
They'll find a place, believe me.
Our goal is to keep those trucks operated the best, production wise.
For a lot of different reasons.
They're waiting at both ends.
Yeah.
And
Not
those
so
trucks are
much on the
$130
loading
an
end, but
hour.
on the dumping end, if they all show up at the same time, now we have a traffic jam
Yeah.
on the dump.
So what are your intent on staging them to leave? How many? If you've got a dozen trucks ready to go at 8 o'clock.
Well, I timed from Locust to Pulaski,
Yeah.
so I think that 8 minutes is reasonable on the spacing for them to leave. Because that truck will be off Locust, gone by the time the next one leaves. Now, the return is kind of hard to pin down, because a lot of things happen
Yeah.
once you're out on the road, the accidents, traffic, weather, whatever. So the return, actually, this thing is based on weather. How efficiently this works. I mean, we've timed it in fair weather, in the morning, and then almost at noon, it's like 11:30. So we kind of got an idea what the traffic is, not on Locust, but in Bellingham, 495, Westboro. So we kind of have an idea that the first loads in the morning are going to take a lot longer to get to the destination than, say, the second load. And then the return at that point should be pretty good. But for whatever reason, around 2 o'clock, traffic starts to build.
School buses.
Is there a weather contingency then in this schedule? Like say you factor in 10% of the time or something like that, you're gonna have inclement weather?
You can't really get a handle on that.
I guess I'd just be curious because I'm sure, because then it would be realistically, your schedule would be pushing out a little further than before.
Yeah, the weather, for what we do, we work in rain, snow, all that. So from the site and loading, the weather issue comes in with the traffic, the commuter, the public. That's when the weather issue
Okay.
comes, because people tend to forget how to drive when it's raining. So, and these trucks are loaded and heavy. and
So
they-
accidents and slowdowns.
They have a responsibility to drive slower and carefully. So we can't control the motoring public, but we can control our trucks. So that tends to slow everything down. So the idea that if we're having a really rainy day, that we're gonna make 4 loads, probably not, realistically 3.
And I guess one last question would be, so you have it going to like October. If it pushes out, when is kind of like the end date? Like you wouldn't be doing removal into December, right? Because it's getting, would there be any possibility scenario that if you didn't complete it all, you'd have to wait until the following spring to?
No, not unless it's snowing. It wouldn't have any real effect on on the export of the material.
Okay.
Because it's unrealistic to think that we're just gonna work 5 days a week for the next couple of months. If something will prevent us from doing that. But the weather, on either end, the dump or on the load, the weather doesn't affect that. It's just the driving on the road. The only thing the weather will do is slow it down. Of course, if it's snowing, if we get into late winter or early winter, if it's snowing, obviously we won't work. That's why we would like to start in July to get a leg up on this and
Yeah.
get as much done as possible, to beat the weather.
Okay.
I guess my other question would be too, and I'm sorry if I'm
No, go
taking
ahead.
too much, is I very much like it. You've timed it out. It's gonna be about 8 minutes, give or take, bringing them out. How about bringing those 12 trucks in the morning? That's 7 o'clock. Are they all gonna be humping down Pulaski and Locust at the same time? I mean, we're talking 7 AM, you're talking people getting out of bed, having the morning coffee, residential. just any thought toward that?
Yeah, we thought about that and, you know, they, you know, typically we work an 8-hour day, they show at 7. Yeah, there'll be some, noise with the trucks, but it would be no different than any other area that a truck would be driving down. Like for instance, on Lake Street there, I was there at 7 in the morning the other morning, and there was 5 or 6 dump trucks came by in the conga line.
These all independents?
Yeah, for the most part. There might be owner operator owns 2-3 trucks and has drivers.
So it's not one company gonna send 12 trucks out of 6 block feet?
And they're coming from different areas, so their arrival times are usually very few of them are on time. He's always late.
And none of the trucks will be staying there overnight?
No, no. They'll dump their last load in Westboro and then they'll go back to wherever they are. And if it's late in the day, it's not gonna make sense to come back and go over our time limit, you know, so they'll just go to the garage and return the next day.
It's $8 a gallon for diesel fuel.
Did you have any
Yeah, I
questions,
know.
Ron?
I know it too well.
Oh, I was just trying to do the math. If there's a staggered start, then the 4 trips per truck per day, no, it doesn't work out because it's like the last or the last first truck would leave an hour and a half into that cycle. So it would be 4 trucks per day. That math means all trucks leave at the same time, come back at the same time. If there's a stagger, then it will work out. It doesn't really matter, except that it's just realistically, this is gonna go probably through January.
That's what I was curious about, and then with the weather, and then about, is there a point where it has to be the residents you're waiting, then they have to kind of start it back
I
up?
think as long as the ground's not frozen, these guys will dig.
Okay,
I mean, if the ground's not frozen, they're gonna dig.
okay.
And the good thing about this project is sort of self-contained, it's all onto a golf course. You know, let's get it done in the summertime as much as we can.
And a lot of the earth removal is within the property too. There's not really around the perimeter. Because with dust control and everything, and then like they're saying, at least if they have, before they exit, they clean it off.
Yeah, so what I would say, get it done in the summertime as best we can, and then I guess I mean, school buses and school kids are something that we should be mindful of, but if you go down too deep on that path, you should.
Because the afternoon,
Yeah,
there's not a lot of,
Well, we don't.
And they're just idling in the morning, just waiting for that time. So if they get there at 7, let's say they're just idling there, you know, waiting in their trucks
you get
till
an
8:30.
impact.
So yeah,
Well, I mean, technically, legally,
you should not be idling.
only for 5 minutes, and you know, that's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. But one of the benefits we have with this site, as Brian said, is it is a big area golf course.
Agreed.
They're not right here up against these houses.
I worry about the noise in the morning when you're loading all the trucks up. So if I would hope that you're not next to the residences, you're going to be kind of in the center of the golf course, loading up these trucks. You're not going to be kind of on the
We're
edges.
gonna be, as you go in, are you familiar with the site where the pond is? We're gonna go in to the left of the existing pond, and in and around that area is where we're gonna have a station.
Left of the existing pond, where's that? Oh, sorry.
Right by the clubhouse.
Yeah, but far enough from nearby residences so that when you're loading up the trucks, all that noise can get really loud.
Right,
So
yeah.
that would be great.
You know,
To stay as far
there's
away
a
as
couple of echo sounds there. A lot of the noise goes down towards the area that's not gonna be developed down there with the bridges.
Mhm.
A lot of it heads that way. Up on Reservoir, not very much, and actually out on Locust. And I think the reason for that is, for lack of a better, it's in the valley, more or less.
Right,
So
so it's
the sound
contained.
tends to go and not up.
Right.
So it, you know, because we did a couple of things with the blowhorn there, just to see, and we did some wind tests to see which way the dust is gonna go. You know, so we have a pretty good handle on that, but then time of year, the wind's gonna change, so that's gonna change. But, you know, we try to be as comprehensive as we can with our proposal. I mean, details like that with the window, we didn't think that would need to be included in this. You know, we're getting a little meteorologic here, so.
Yeah, does it sound fair to you if there are enough complaints from abutters that we reconvene and talk about the noise, talk about the dust,
That's
Should there be a
advertised.
certain number of complaints? Would that be
Yeah,
reasonable?
I'm sure there's gonna be complaints. I haven't done
There's always
any of
going to
this-
be
Yeah, I'm
complaints.
sure, I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and there's always gonna be complaints, so, depending upon what they are, but
Okay.
we wanna work with the neighbors, and we don't wanna, be on the outs with the neighbors,
Right.
or the board, or the town, or anyone, so we'll work with them. And if there is some genuine concerns, we can address those.
We would
Brian?
be proactive and work with any legitimate complaints.
So what I would,
I appreciate it.
perhaps something to consider is the pre-construction meeting that Jim discussed when they start to do the removal operations. And then perhaps we build into our decision that they just come back in 90 days or come back and just tell us how they're going, and we can
That's true.
tweak things if we need to. 60 days, whatever it is, and we can do whatever we need to do. in the-
6 days will bring towards the end of summer. If
That's
there's any major issues, we'll certainly know more by then.
Works for me.
I mean, 'cause they're looking to start July 1st, so.
Yeah.
Bring them back for the first of September meeting. Which is
So,
technically not
so are you
days.
anticipating that all of that fill will be removed by sometime in January or February? Is that fair to say?
All goes well, yes.
Well, just looking at the 130 working days and 5 days a week, et cetera, works out to a little less than 6 months, I think. If all, if
That's true.
if we have,
We have a plan and we'd love
Roughly
to,
20 days in a month. roughly.
we have a plan and we'd like to stick to the plan the best we can.
All right, is everyone, I think, ready to open it up to the public, get some comments? Okay. All right, we're gonna open it up to the public, just state your name and address.
Oh, am I the only public? I don't know.
oh, we have somebody over here too.
Diane's online, if it's okay, if she could speak first.
Sure.
It's Diane and Tom Nardone. We live up on Hillside Drive, which is off of West Street. So we've been here for about 20 years, and we've lived through the Oak Hill project, which is right behind our house. And we're a little concerned because we've been down this hill before. So we also understand it's a great project. I'm happy for you guys, but I'm not happy for us. It is very residential, and West Street is a very busy street. So when you say that you're going to turn out of Locust Street and go down Luke Street and onto West Street, that's highly affecting a lot of people. It's a very tight little spot here, environmentally sensitive. And we're a little worried about the traffic and the trucks and the dirt and the rocks and the mud and the water and the noise and the brakes. It's very disruptive for us. And we, like I said, I just went through 10 years of this with Oak Hill. We just got some peace and quiet, and now we're going to have it hit us again. So I think we're just really concerned, not about stopping a project. We're not telling you guys what to do. You guys do what you got to do. But we're wondering where the town of Rentham comes into the equation of all the people that are going to be major inconvenienced by this project in the town of Rentham. So Locust Street to Luke Street is a very small cow path road. You can barely get down the street when there's two cars passing each other as it is. And now you're going to be sending down these big, huge trailer truckloads of dirt trucks down here and turning up into our neighborhood. So it's a major concern for all of us. So I don't think anybody's going to be, complaining if there's no reason to complain. I don't think anybody around here is like that, but it is a huge concern. And I'm surprised I'm the only one who showed up tonight, to be honest. I guess I'll be the speaker for and listener for everybody. But yeah, we are really concerned about the project. And I guess the major question I have is, what involvement does the town of Rentham's town hall have on this project and the wear and tear on the roads and the wear and tear on the residents of Rentham and not Bellingham?
I would say, well, I guess I'd want to open it up to Jen, but yeah, Jen, maybe you can explain.
I can certainly try to explain. Fortunately or unfortunately, the state of Massachusetts, we all live in a home rule charter. So the town of Bellingham controls the projects within their boundaries. The town of Rentham just as you mentioned, the Oak Hill Estates project. Never heard of it before. I was a town planner there for a very long time. So we do communicate quite often, but unfortunately, a lot of these projects do sit on the town lines and are controlled by those within in the town. Not to say that this board doesn't take your concerns to heart. I guarantee you they do, and we'll consider your comments. But the town hall of Rentham does not play a role in this.
Yeah. And I don't know if, well, that's unfortunate, but I don't know, if you guys have ever driven up and down West Street in the morning, but sound travels around here like crazy. And I'm sitting at the top of the hill, but I literally can hear balls being hit on the golf course up here. So it isn't that it's going to be nice and quiet for us anywhere around here. It's like a huge bowl, and we hear and see everything. So I can only ask that you are very sensitive to the people that have lived here for years and are trying to just live their day. Like you said, 7:30 in the morning till 4:30 at night, Monday through Friday. Morning commutes are going to be a nightmare, so please take in consideration of the hell that you guys are going to put us through for the next 130 days.
Yeah, I know. And as a board, we try to just condition as best we can and try to put ourselves in the place of the residents, and try to mitigate as best we can the ongoing activities on the site.
Sure. Yeah. And where would we call if there is something going on that's just not tolerable? Who am I contacting? Is it the town of Bellingham zoning, or am I calling?
It would be, you could contact Amy saying over here, you could contact the planning department.
Okay.
You could speak with Amy or Jim.
Sure. This is my husband, Tom. I think he has a question also.
I just wanted to ask about the engineering that you're going to be doing. Are you going to be redesigning Locust or doing something? Because that road's pretty small to have that many homes being built.
I guess for us, for our purview is really just the earth removal. So all those issues are really not pertinent in this setting. So we're really just yeah, Jim, go ahead.
I will say just, while this board does only deal with the removal of earth, the planning board has reviewed this project for about a little over a year now. And so there's plans online if you'd like to take a look at them. Right on the planning board's website on the town of Bellingham, we post all of our approved plans right on there. So you can take a look at that, and happy to answer any questions after you take a look at those.
Sure. Am I able to contact you directly if I have questions that I didn't want to bug everybody else with, or is that inappropriate?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go through Amy Sutherland at our office at the town hall planning department, and then she can forward you my contact too if there are any additional questions. No problem at all.
That'd be great. Also, I don't know if it's appropriate for zoning actually either, but is the intention, I haven't seen the plan yet, so is the intention that you're going to have entrances and exits on Locust Street and on Lake Street, or is it just going to be a one in and a one out? Just out of curiosity.
I can address that. It's only on Locust Street. There is an emergency exit on Reservoir, which connects to Lake. It's basically as it is today.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
And it's actually, I said it was coming back to me a little bit. Going down through the Rentham Way, West Street, that is a little towel path road. Kind of similar to like, worse than High Street, but winding.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you seriously looked at that route with the triangles?
Yes. Yeah, we did that in the morning.
Yep.
And then we did it later in the day. So
Isn't that a tight winding road?
it is a tight winding road.
So would you be better off going out the other way? It's less residential per se too.
Yes, well, yeah, we put that in as an option.
Okay.
It's not etched in stone, we're going that way. We put that in, couple of reasons behind that. We try to work with the school buses and not be, but then, we're going to encounter the Rentham school buses, and I don't know how far up they come near the project. But yeah, we did look at that, and the other thing too is these trucks will obey the speed limit. They'll actually be under the speed limit probably, but minimum of 5 miles an hour, because they don't they realize the sensitiveness of this with all the neighbors, and so nobody's gonna be blasting out there.
No, I'm not concerned about that. I just, and I was actually down, now that she brought it up too, I was down that road a few weeks ago, and that is a tight road.
Very, very tight.
And if we could,
In Oak Hill, the
Maybe
buses do
the
go
other
up.
way, maybe more beneficial for everyone.
Yeah.
It's more, you got a short distance to Pulaski, and now we're wide open again.
Right, yeah, well, and Pulaski's is a, you know, a state road, a local
Yeah.
road, so if you can take the.
You can take it, where West Street may not be able to take that many trucks per day.
Again, that was our first choice, but we just put the West Street in as an option. And the bulk of the traffic will go up Locust towards Pulaski. You know, that's not gonna be our main egress, you know, to the site or from the site. So if we put it in as an option, you know, for everyone to look at.
Okay.
And the previous owner had gone that way when he exported material, when he did the golf course many years ago. And so, yeah, I realize it's probably a scenic road. I don't know that for sure, but it could be.
I know, I just know it is a tight winding road, and
It's gonna have more impact.
it's gonna have more impacts.
Okay.
Actually, a little more noise, a little bumpier of a road.
Our preferred route is Locust Street to Pulaski for the simple reason it's the shortest route.
Yeah, I just look many times, it is shorter, many times too. And it's, I think it's more direct for
We
you.
only, like Dave said, we only brought that up because if we needed to work with the school department or some other reason, that was just plan B.
Okay. That's plan B, okay, great. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Sure.
And Amy, you said there's
We
another
do have
comment?
another, we do have another hand raised on the screen.
Okay. Is this this is another
It's
resident?
like 2858.
Okay. And then I just want to say to Diane, and although our purview is just Bellingham, we are sensitive and understand where you're coming from. And we want to be good neighbors, and we want to try to impact the activities to all residents.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, is there someone else from the public looking to be heard?
The gentleman right over here.
Yeah, I guess we can open up to the.
Hi, my name is Roger Poon. I live at 20 Locust Street. I abut to 30 Locust Street, the golf course. And I only have two complaints. I have a drain pipe off Emo's old property golf course on hole 3. It drains water into my swamp. And then it's blocked at hole 5 with the bridge. You talk about that footbridge, it's blocked down there. I just want to make sure that's open so the water goes out and not build up any further than it is now. It's hot, it's low right now because it hasn't been raining too much. But when it rains a lot, that thing gets really big.
I think
Yes.
this was addressed last meeting.
Yeah, I
and
remember,
Mr.
and-
DeSimone was gonna go out and address that. That was, and so.
Well,
Ian-
the environment did go down.
Yes.
Matter of fact, they told me to come to this meeting,
Yes.
it'd be a pest.
Yeah, but unfortunately, our preview tonight
It's
is
the earth.
strictly earth
Yeah,
removal.
but the only thing I want to know is, if you people don't want to open it up, I can open it up. I just want to, I don't want to be arrested going over.
It's not our preview tonight. The only thing we can address is the earth removal.
So you're not going to know about that opening?
It's not on our.
It's
agenda.
not part of our
All right, so
scope.
where do I go? The environment told me to come here to be a pest, so where do I go now? Because I couldn't come down here before with the COVID thing, it was all closed, and when I tried to get on that damn screen there, I couldn't get on.
Come and visit me at the office.
I did that already.
You didn't. I put you in touch with Ann, and Ann is talking with Paul DeSimone. So.
This conservation
Yes,
commission would
yes,
really be
yes.
there.
Well,
with
he
drainage.
admitted, he admitted
Yes.
it was blocked.
Right.
The whole 5 with the bridge, the footbridge, where they used to go to the whole 5 golfing, that hole was blocked. He says he can open it up.
So it sounds like it was an issue with the previous
Huh?
owners. Yeah, it sounds like it's an issue with the
Yes.
previous owners,
So
and
it's
that
really not under.
they're looking to rectify it, but it wouldn't be through us, it would be
No.
through conservation.
With that said, can you guys work with him to fix it?
Yes.
All right.
I'm waiting.
Nice.
So I want to hear.
Good,
Thank you.
good, thanks.
Thank you, Brian.
Can I ask a quick
You're a
question?
negotiator.
I don't want to go backwards, but so site export excess material goes through April of 2023? Is that what you're estimating?
216 days is what they're putting on here. No.
So I'm sorry, I started a conversation telling you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the schedule that you guys prepared. And it's under initial site prep. It says export excess material. July 1st to April 2023, 216 days.
It was just a preliminary schedule. We weren't sure when it was gonna get approved, so we just covered.
We want to
Thank you.
limit the limit.
Exactly.
Those parameters are, we fill the schedule block in with that item. And what we typically do, once we commence a job, we adjust the schedule accordingly. If you really tear that thing apart, there's certain things in there that are overlapping and things that aren't. So it says, once we get going and we get a flow, then we can adjust, we can time things, but we wanted to fill that window. Not that we ever thought it would go that far, but on the outside chance that it did, at the very end of the job, typically every job I've ever done, there's always an export of some sort of material, be it loan tailings or so, and that probably wouldn't fall under this earth removal permit. Maybe it would, but it's, we want it to be covered on that.
That's a good point. I mean, it's a fair discrepancy. I guess that's what I wondered too with this. It doesn't, the 130 would be if they had absolutely 48 trips a day and no inclement weather. So either way.
No accidents of 495.
Everybody
Yeah.
shows up every day.
That would be,
Right.
not happening.
But then again, if we get into this and we have quick weather, accidents, we get a really hard freeze, it could run in after the first of the year.
Yeah.
Like you were.
That's why I was
brought up,
curious
yeah.
about, is there a point where it's practically, say, January, February, there's gonna be no activity and then it starts up again in the spring?
And the other unknown with the amount of trucks and how many are actually going to be on site every day, that's like a revolving door. Some guys don't show up. I get my homework. I didn't come in. I got to watch the kids. So we always have problems with trucks. Always.
Which I guess I think we're just looking at like, what's a ballpark range about what would an average, what would be optimal worst case, and where's kind of in the middle.
I think we will have a better grip.
After.
They'll have a better grip when we bring them in early September.
Okay.
We'll know where they're at, and they'll know what their schedules look like.
So I guess hours of operation, then we're just gonna we're sticking to the 8 to 4:30, and then with the pre-construction meeting with the school, we'll determine what the hours may or may not change during the
And
school year.
they'll be back here right about that time frame.
Yeah.
So whatever the off-peak, whatever off-peak hours, maybe a little bit more hours in summer, and then work with the schools in September, and we'll have a better idea then, Peter said, and we'll take it from there.
As long as we're absolutely no Saturdays and Sundays.
Right.
I think that needs to be in the decision.
I would like to not have it, Brian, excuse me. I just wouldn't want to have it go too late in the afternoon either, because people coming home and they don't want to be disturbed.
Yeah,
So I think that 4:30 is a pretty good number.
Yeah, and they're not in the post 5 o'clock traffic cycle. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I was just, Jim, do you have enough to draft a decision in terms of conditions and the standard language and everything else?
Yes, yeah, I think I have plenty here, and I think you guys have captured everything that the bylaws are requiring as well. The 8 to 4:30 is what I have nailed down now, Monday through Friday. Pre-construction meeting with the school committee, or as a representative from the school, excuse me, prior to the new school year. Returning back to the board for an update in September at the September meeting. And then all of our standard language about dust controls and screening and all that.
And also the bond for street.
And the bond, yes.
Good.
So then, Jim, does it make sense for you to make a motion to draft a favorable decision subject to those conditions? And then come back next month? Is that what we're planning to do?
It's up to the board. You can either move to approve per the conditions stated, and I can draft those and have the chair sign as we typically do, or if you'd like to take a review of those conditions, you can move to draft a favorable decision and come back at the next meeting. The
I mean,
the only item I would suggest is, if you are to at the next meeting, that is getting close to the end of school season, that's all.
Right?
Yeah, I have a couple of things, noise control, and also do we want to stipulate, if there's a certain number of complaints from 5 different addresses at the same time, are we gonna resolve that during the 60-day checkup, or is that something we want to stipulate? We get, we have 5 different complaints, we'll have them come before the board, or do we want to just deal with that after 60 days? I'm just seeing what the board thinks about that, just because there was a concern about noise, and I don't know if the applicant has done anything in the past in terms of noise mitigation. Putting something up just where the trucks can get loaded, they can, just go through there, so it's mitigated within that area until they leave the site. I just imagine, yes, the noise is contained there, but it could totally resonate.
The biggest problem with truck noise is
When it's moving.
I'm sorry?
When it's moving, when they're going in?
No, it's when they're stopping.
Okay.
It's a jake brake.
Right.
You're familiar with that?
Yes.
So where this is all flat, there's not gonna be any use of a jake brake. So now we have up-to-date trucks with modern, mufflers, so they're not that loud.
Let me Jim, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just in terms of the comment regarding response to complaints, my preference would be to just keep it at the 60-day return. I mean, the day-to-day concerns, I think our inspection team has a pretty good response time. There was a complaint about, cutting down of too many trees one night, and I got a call from our building inspector at 6:30 in the morning saying he was already on site. So I think, the day-to-day concerns we could handle, and we can certainly at that September meeting have the building inspector and any other department head that is applicable attend if there are ongoing concerns to address.
Okay.
One more question. I'm sorry, John,
I
right?
was wondering, Jim, have we ever done any noise mitigation requirements in the past in town for?
Yep. So in terms, well, not noise mitigation in term. Well, I think the only really noise mitigation that we've really done is additional screening and timing. I mean, so just like, for instance, this wouldn't apply here, but overnight loading, those types of things, making sure that it's not starting too early or ending too late. But I don't think that would really apply here, other than making sure they don't start too early. But there's already construction guidelines in the planning board, not to say you can't add additional.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just one quick question for them. You're gonna have all this stuff stockpiled, right? So when they back in, it's just, you're not digging, you're just scooping out.
No, we're gonna have it
Stockpile.
all staged in stockpile area, and we'll load it as it come in. And I might say, as far as the loading goes, that'll be, with the exception of the loader, we're loading basically sand, so there's no impact rocks. When we load trucks with rocks, that tends to echo. That won't happen here because I haven't seen a rock anywhere over there.
And plus it'll all be staged, so
Yeah.
you won't be digging it, it'll be quiet.
No, that'll be previous when we do the road cut to fill. We'll accrue the material, and then that will be, and when we have enough that it makes sense to start the operation, we will.
And you're only loading up, you're not unloading any other, are you unloading any other material at the same time?
No, the only materials will be construction materials, i.e. pipe and things like that. Those will be all staged up in the front on the gravel parking lot.
Okay.
Right.
Those are on flatbeds, they're not gonna get unloaded.
No, they're
'Cause
not done.
you know how dump trucks, sometimes they'll
Bang the
they'll just
gate.
bang the
No,
gate,
we're not
and
dumping.
that's one of the loudest sounds I've ever heard.
Now,
I guess that poses another question is, you guys aren't gonna have to bring in more fill, are you? Just asking.
I'll have to bring it
Got a
out.
little too much.
Okay.
Just a tad.
Would be broke by now.
But it's a good point, because I imagine it being a golf course, that sounds kind of travel.
Right, especially if those flows, those
you don't even have, I mean, a lot of vegetation to serve as kind of like a barrier or anything.
Exactly. It's just an open area, it's just gonna resonate. But
Just gonna go in there and fix the difference either.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I guess, any other comments? Or?
No, it's just, what's our pleasure? Do you want Jim to draft a decision, we approve it, sort of
Either-
spec, or do we
Yeah.
want to have him draft it, we review it, and then we approve it next meeting?
I leave it to the board. Yeah, what all of you feel.
I
If
think
you want to review for the next meeting or if you.
if everyone's comfortable with what Jim stated, you know, I'd like to get it going earlier than later, just to have them work, get through the season quicker.
Also help them plan to get their trucks going.
Right.
Yeah, Jim's pretty good at doing those things.
And yeah, Jim has had a lot of experience and typically it's pretty good.
And there's the 20-day appeal period, so keep
Right.
that in mind, that if we wait till June, once a decision's rendered, at that point, it's another 20 days to put that out. So that's something else to think
Yeah,
about.
I'm okay with letting Jim.
I'm comfortable with that.
All right, so then I'll move to approve the special permit subject to the conditions that we discussed tonight. And Jim, do you want Brian to sign? That makes it easier, right?
That would be helpful, yes.
Yeah, and then add that in. And the chair will sign on behalf of the board.
Okay.
Put your name on it. I'll second Brian's motion.
All right, discussion or?
Would the chair like to hear them again, or are we?
I think Jim, unless you want to hear him
No,
again.
I'm just making sure everyone's comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Fine here.
I think I'm good. All right.
I'm good too.
All right.
Okay, a vote on that?
All in
Who's in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay,
Okay, and a motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close it.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Great, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, guys, see you in a couple months.
Go play in the dirt.
The only thing we have left are 2 sets of minutes from Laura.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Appreciate your time on this.
Thank you.
I didn't read these. Maybe read these, some of the good.
Yeah, I think there was one.
I was absent, so.
I think the SWIP plan, SWIPP, I think that's the SWPP.
I'll let her know for that
I
one.
believe
Yep,
so.
that's easy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
That was the main one I
Yep, that's
saw.
great.
The April 14th one has a highlight in it. Every time I go out, I'll highlight.
Oh, that must be because she wasn't
Oh,
sure
the
how to
Gmail
spell
one?
the name. Okay. What page was that
Yeah,
on?
which is, it's a 4:14:22 minutes. It's
What
page-
page?
Page, I think it's right at the
Two?
top
The top?
of two.
Okay, that's been corrected. Yep,
Okay.
we're good on that.
Oh, maybe that's why. It's got the gem. That's fine. That's how we spell it. So it's good. So I can have her change that. That's an easy change. Do you want to start with April 7th? Does that work for everybody? With those first? How do you guys like those? Do you want a little more time, Art?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Amy, while we're waiting, do you know when town meeting is?
25th, May 25th, and we will have hearings in June. I know we have at least, well, I think we have one coming in for a special permit for 50 dogs in.
No, for what?
And I think 50 dogs in Mechanic Street. They're looking to have a kennel, a daycare, probably service dog training.
Oh.
So that's probably going to be in June. So just a heads up on that. Just-
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
They may put it off till July, but just a heads up, that should be coming.
50, wow. I'd say the old chicken coop, but that's gone.
Yeah, right.
140.
It's a short road though.
I think 156 is the.
Yeah, where's that?
156.
We'll see.
That's right next where they just put that new building up that just opened up across from the apartments.
Okay. So
The
they have,
apartments is 161, so across the street is.
they're looking to expand their business. They've got a business right now in Franklin with 250 dogs. So they're not sure yet though, so but they're hoping to get on the June agenda.
Which business is this in Franklin?
I'm not sure the name of the company,
Okay.
but they do have, it's something canine, but it's
Very cool.
currently 250 dogs are there, and it's training for civil service dogs and service dogs, and there's boarding and there's grooming, so it's a little bit of everything. Mhm.
This is a young lady. Wow. Look, you'll be in another country.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll join in through Zoom.
Motion to accept the minutes for April 7th.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll get those posted, and then the 14th with that revision.
Yeah, just one
Mhm.
revision from me.
What was the revision?
It's just SWIP, it's just WPPP,
Mhm.
the plan, that's how it's supposed to be spelled. It's an environmental assessment,
Mhm.
Got it.
make sure stormwater
You enjoy
prevention.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion to approve
Okay.
as amended.
Second motion.
Okay,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
very good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Very good. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Good to see you, buddy.